I'm Steve IT. Today we're going to be installing WebGoat. Built and maintained by the good folks of OWASP, they describe it as a deliberately insecure application that allows interested developers just like you to test vulnerabilities common in Java-based applications that use common and popular open source components. That is a mouthful. There are many ways to get your WebGoat, but this one uses my hacky bash scripts for a quick spin-up on Ubuntu 22.04. Now this assumes that you've already got Ubuntu 22.04 running on something. You could do it on VMware like me. I'm running this on vSphere. You could do it in VirtualBox or Proxmox up in the cloud, wherever you want. Just don't put a deliberately insecure application somewhere dumb where you're going to violate the terms and conditions. This Ubuntu VM is named Baaaaaad. I was going to make the goat sound, but I decided it was a bad idea. This specific Ubuntu VM is 2 cores, 2 gigs of RAM, and 30 gigs of storage. That's just what I normally do when I spin up Ubuntu for a little project. This is Ubuntu Desktop, and yeah, you could do this with Ubuntu Server just fine. The workflow would change just a little bit, but the reason we're doing this on Ubuntu Desktop is you can access the lessons within WebGoat from localhost if you decide not to expose this on your LAN, which is more what we're aiming for here. Here we're going to do the minimal install. We don't need all the extra stuff that comes with the normal installation, and you can go ahead and tell it to download updates while installing Ubuntu. Now you can watch VMware try to rescale the screen. It's not handling that terribly gracefully, but we'll be through this in just a moment. Now you do want to take the time to set your time zone correctly in case you want to pull any logs off the device from trying to compromise something. Most of the lessons in WebGoat are based around the UI, but it's a web application, so you can try to attack it with whatever external tool you want once it's on your LAN. If you generate logs as part of that process, you may want to pull those with the correct time. We're going to throw in some quick names. It's Goaty for the username. Computer's name is Baaaaaad. I almost did it. I'm just not working up the gumption. Password is GoatyGoat1. I'm going with a common theme here if you can't tell. And we'll just skip the number of times it took me to figure out that I wasn't putting in a strong enough password. I think it was something around 1700. Ubuntu will finish installing and then ask you to remove the installation media and restart, and then you'll be prompted with your login screen. I'm not going to use any keyboard shortcuts for this tutorial, so bottom left of the screen, application button, terminal. So we're going to install Git real quick with a sudo apt get install git. This will allow us to easily pull down the bash scripts from my public GitHub. Yes, I am typing super slow. Do you ever feel like some days you can just type really fast and the other days it feels like there is jello in your knuckles? Well, this is a jello day. So Git successfully installed. Now we're going to browse to github.com/stevenit/webgoat for Ubuntu 22.04. I'll include that in the description below. I'll also include 2 links to my blog. I've got a WebGoat Part 1 and a WebGoat Part 2 that has the instructions for everything we're about to do here. In the top right of the repo, click that green code button and then copy the URL for the repo. And then we're going to go throw that in git clone. We'll hit ls and enter just to verify that we do indeed see the repo as cloned down with the WebGoat install scripts. And I'm installing these directly in the home directory because I'm not installing anything else on a deliberately insecure application hosting VM. It's just not a good idea. We'll do change mod 700 install docker asterisk for the wildcard, and that should update all 3 files so that you can run those from this user. Out of the 3 files, install docker is a combination of the other 2 in the correct order. I've had some issues where it doesn't always run right, so I just do install docker repo and then install docker engine. We're going to run them now in the wrong order to show that these are not specifically idempotent. Any of the error handling is taken care of by the package manager, not by the scripting. I just did some light echoing out if there is a big problem. We see that here where it says run hello world. If hello world doesn't print, something went wrong. So now let's do it right. We're going to do /install dockerrepo.sh. That's going to do the obligatory apt-get update. I run that every time. It's going to install any sourcing dependencies, do the Docker official GPG key, and then set up the repository. If you find that this is broken, feel free to drop me a line on GitHub. I may or may not fix it. It's just commands, so it's not that hard to troubleshoot. Now we'll do /install Docker engine, the second half of this process. A little movie magic to fast forward, and then assuming that all goes well, we should get a Docker Hello World. Ta-da! Now we'll pull down WebGoat with a sudo docker pull webgoat/webgoat. I love this part. It's so satisfying to watch Docker do this. It just, let's see that again. Love it. All right, let's spin up the container from the template with sudo docker run-p, and then the localhost IP address :8080:8080. And then we're going to do another -p localhost, and this time it's going to be :9090:9090. Now the 8080 is for WebGoat, and then the 9090 is for WebWolf, which I will get into later. You do want to make sure you set your time zone to the correct time, and then it's WebGoat/WebGoat. And like I said, you can follow along this process on my blog at stevenit.com. There are links down in the description for WebGoat Part 1 and WebGoat Part 2 if you just want to pull that up in this Ubuntu VM and then copy and paste everything from Firefox directly into the terminal. You can do that. Now in Firefox, if you go to localhost or localhost 8080 or HTTPS localhost 8080, you will get a lot of nothing. It has to be http://localhost:8080/webgoat. And once you do that, you should be greeted by the login screen for WebGoat. Of course, we're still on localhost right now. We're not on LAN. And if you do want to stay on localhost, this whole process works pretty well on Kali or Parrot if you just need to keep it all on the same VM. Now you do need to go ahead and register yourself as a new user, and you'll have to do this every single time you spin up the container for WebGoat. Since it's a container, that data is gone when you spin it down, which you can do in terminal with just a Control-C. And here we are. I'm not sure why it's going to the WebWolf page, but there's WebGoat. Now if you're running WebGoat all on one VM, you don't really need to go any further. But if you do want to expose it to LAN, we're going to go ahead and shut down this container and make some changes to the Docker container so that when it spins up, it'll spin up with an IP address of a LAN exposed interface. Control-C to close the container, and then up on the terminal. And we need to modify that localhost address with the IP address of a LAN-facing interface. So we'll do an IP adder. Note our IP address. This one is 192.168.200.209. And we'll modify that localhost address to reflect that. Super speed, because this video is getting long. And then hit enter. Now WebGoat will spin up with that IP address. But if you try to browse to it, you're not going to get anything. We still have the security controls of Ubuntu in our way, so we need to go let our way through Ubuntu Firewall. That's sudo ufw enable. Throw in your sudo password. And then it'll say that the firewall is active. Now we've got to throw some firewall rules in there. Let's do a no, stop it. Steve, stop. No. No, Steve. Let's try that again. We'll do sudo. There you go, buddy. Sudo ufw allow HTTP. Now, WebGoat's not going to work on your LAN yet, and neither will WebWolf because they are respectively 8080 and 9090. We're just opening up HTTP so that we can hit 80 with tools for validation or whatever it may be, whatever you want to try. So let's add in the rules we need with a sudo ufw allow 8080/TCP. There you go, buddy. And a sudo ufw allow 9090/TCP. And that's it. Assuming you don't have a firewall or anything like that on your LAN that's going to stop you. Of course, you're going to have to add appropriate rules where it applies. But as long as that's not the case, you should just be able to browse to WebGoat now from across your LAN with that LAN IP. So go ahead and remember, you have to create that username again because the container was taken down in that process. So we're going to do one last thegoat. Password I think is goatygoat1. And it'll auto log you in. Now you can begin exploring the lessons. In the future, I'm planning to do a series on these lessons as well as attacking WebGoat from Callie or Parrot. And if you want to follow that along, hit the subscribe button. If this was helpful to you, please hit the like button. Again, I'm Steve in IT, and if you were here last time, you heard that I'm trying to use this platform as a way to keep myself accountable as I try to live a healthier lifestyle. So as of today, I am 265 pounds, and I plan to lose 65 more pounds before my wedding in the fall. Y'all have a good one.